So, about like 8 months ago, I had an opinion that if mass deportation took place, it would drastically hurt the economy of the United States of America because so many industries depend on workers that may not be documented. When you look at construction, when you look at hospitality, when you look at farms, and we've seen a very aggressive stance as far as deportations and ICE, and that's led to protests all over the country. But I found interesting yesterday when the president said that he's kind of putting a pause on for the farmers, for farms. I think it was farms, hospitality workers, and there was another industry, right? So, how do you think that this has played out from a humanitarian standpoint, and how do you think this is playing out as far as the economy with areas that are heavily focused on maybe non-documented immigrants that's actually working these jobs?
Well, the president talked about mass deportation, but I think, as heard by the American people, understandably, the view is the focus should be on violent criminals, individuals who are here undocumented, not productively contributing to society, but threatening the safety and security of communities all across the country. That's something that we as Democrats strongly support. That anyone who is here breaking the law, engaging in violent criminal activity, should be subject to deportation. And of course, at the same time, we need to secure the border. But we shouldn't walk away from dreamers and farm workers and law abiding immigrant families. And I think it's also important to recognize, as you indicated, that there are a lot of industries, farming, construction, and hospitality in particular, that do rely on labor that is not at all times documented. And so what's interesting is that president seems to have heard from some of his allies in the business community who made it clear to him that he was going after people who were necessary to the success at this moment of these industries, and indicated that he was going to back down. Now, that then caused, of course, his right wing MAGA base to go nuts, because they're leaning into the fact that he said he was going to throw everybody out, um, even if that means also deporting apparently 2 or 3 or 4 year old children who are U.S. citizens, because they may have a parent or two that is undocumented. And so it remains to be seen where this is going to go. But the president has engaged in aggressive overreach in this area that I think is turning off the American people, and at the same time, apparently turning off some of his allies in the business community.
Mm. I want to ask you something that's obviously dear to us in our community, and that's trading equities. It's something that people in Congress have done. Obviously, it feels like the level of transparency hasn't always been there. So I want to know what your thoughts are around, trading equities when we know that people in Congress are the ones that pass policy, oversee contracts, and create law. Your thoughts around that being limited or banned in the near future? Obviously, it feels like it's an advantage that lawmakers have that the general public doesn't. What's your thoughts around it?
I strongly support stock ban prohibition in terms of members of Congress being able to trade on equities. Currently, if you trade equities, you have to disclose that, I think, within 30 to 45 days. And so the point there was that at least there would be some visibility into trades that are being made, and that people at home in their communities could hold those members accountable if they felt like that was inappropriate behavior. But you still have a whole lot of it that is taking place, and it's not sitting well with the American people. And that makes sense to me. And so, from my standpoint, this is not a partisan issue. It's an issue that has or should have bipartisan support in terms of the congressional stock trading prohibition. There's legislation that has been introduced. I've expressed support for it publicly. And, it remains to be seen whether Republican leadership in the House is prepared to go down this road. What we have seen over the last several weeks is that there were a lot of members of Congress, particularly on the Republican side, it appears, who are engaging in a lot of aggressive trading of equities, given the volatility of the market, and presumably profiting. And the question is, were they profiting from inside information that may have been available to them in connection with the Trump administration? That remains to be seen. That's also something that should be, clearly investigated.
I just a follow up. I mean, it happens on both sides, right? If we talk about Marjorie Greene, we could talk about Nancy Pelosi as well.
For sure.
What is the biggest drawback as to why? Obviously, from the profits, but why wouldn't somebody be in support of the Congress having insider trading?
Well, listen, that's a good question, and it's an open question, and those individuals, any individual who wants to defend it, they're free to defend it. I'm of the view, and I think all of House Democratic leadership is on record now saying it should be banned. And now we got to deal with, these type of challenges across all institutions. It's not just the House and the Senate. In fact, the House and the Senate overall probably have the strongest anti-corruption laws of the three branches. More definitely needs to be done in the House and the Senate, as we've discussed. But you have had, rampant instances of corruption taking place among some members of the Supreme Court, Thomas in particular. And you also see the Trump administration and/or the Trump presidency, particularly during round two, engaging in a lot of behavior that does not sit well with the American people. And the president's friends and family seem to be profiting in different ways from their proximity to power, and that shouldn't happen. And so whether that's in, the crypto space or in other areas where there's a lot of different activity, we just need a level playing field. And if you're going to be in government service, you should be serving the people. And if your goal is to make money, then you can leave government service and go into the private sector and try to do that.
But if we're going to be honest, this has been happening since the 1950s. Like, what can we do to actually stop it? I mean, this has gotten so popular that there are sites that will follow politicians' trades. If we can be honest, like, once the cat is out of the bag, there's no way to put it back in, is it?
Well, I actually think that, the initial reform that took place was to try to make sure that there was full disclosure. Now, that, of course, then led, as you are pointing out, to sites that are tracking, the trades of members of Congress that are presumably operating on the assumption that someone, if they're engaging in these trades, may have some information that may not otherwise be available to everyone in the public. Whether that's the case or not, people got to examine that on an individual basis. Because some may just be sophisticated actors in this space. But I think the disclosure alone, which was a step in the right direction, that the public could assess, whether something isn't right, that was, that has not put an end to it. People are still engaging in it. And that's why I think taking this next step in terms of a stock ban is the right way to go. And it's got to be written in a way that's airtight, and there's legislation that exists to do it. And as I mentioned, this does have strong support amongst many Democrats and some support amongst Republicans. And so there's at least a shot that we can deal with this issue in this Congress. And if we don't deal with this issue in this Congress, certainly the American people give us an opportunity to be in the majority after the midterm elections in 2026. It will be part of a heavy anti-corruption agenda that we are going to push forward as Democrats.